I guess the kind of tipping point was seeing the GTF strike last year, and definitely seeing how much the union kind of supported the GTFs in their efforts to kind of get basically what they should already have, just the basic kind of standard amount of cost of living and those type of things, and to get some kind of flexibility if something should happen to them. I mean, that's obvious. The administration is not doing that, and the union definitely stood up for them and supported them in their efforts. So that was kind of the main catalyst coming into the university. That was my first year here, and seeing those politics and kind of recognizing that, that was me not too long ago as a graduate student, as a TA back then, and that's just what you should expect for someone that you're asking to devote their time to the university, to the fundamental thing that the university is supposed to be doing, which is teaching. Teaching 305, I have 2 GTFs, and I'm like, what they're asking is not that unreasonable. It should be already happening, and that they have to kind of strike to get this from administration is just, it makes no sense. Definitely the summer bargaining session was, where I clearly saw things in relationship to me as an instructor, as a faculty. Them definitely standing up and trying to do the best and trying to get that bargaining session to the most favorable advantages to the faculty was where I clearly saw that's where the union is trying to make sure that the university's commitment to the faculty is maintained, and you're not trying to just sit here and make us just kind of cheap labor. You do recognize that we are pretty much, to me, I think we're indispensable. I always kind of use this experiment that, if you were to kind of, if you had some sort of magical spell, you could kind of snap the professors all away. The university would fall apart because there's no one to teach the classes. But if you did that for administration, the university would still function because you still have the faculty teaching, and the faculty would just kind of have to come together and work out who would take on those administrative duties and try to balance the two. So when you see it in those terms, it's like, okay, you have to remember the faculty need to be here. And you just can't sit here and treat them like, oh, we can replace them, or we can go to the old adjunct route and kind of try to give them this kind of below poverty lifestyle. But anything you do to the faculty, anything that you kind of mess with the faculty, you are messing with the heart of the university. And it will have consequences, just like if you mess with the heart of a person. You will see kind of atrophy in certain parts. It won't work the way it should be working. So you need to remember that the faculty are the heart of the university, and you have to treat them with that respect. Before I was here, I was at Stanford and was reading books like The Fall of the Faculty that I kind of had a chance to read on the commute into Stanford, and it was like, okay, yes, this is the whole problem. Administration is kind of taking its role far too seriously and thinking that, it's all about us and we're doing all this hard work. Yeah, but how many of you administrators can actually do what the faculty do, right? The faculty tend to do what administration does because that's how the various departments and how they run with the various units of the university. But can you administrators do what the faculty do? And once you kind of raise that question, then it's like, okay, you know what? We do our job, they do our job, they do their job, and we need each other, right? That's what it boils down to. And once you recognize that, I think that would have a different attitude on the administration part. But administration just simply is just, at a number of times, I just feel they're out of touch. They're just out of touch with that fundamental fact. I always just, it goes back to just simply hoping that it goes back to that fundamental understanding and getting off of this corporate model and just realizing that no matter how much you try and run it like a business, this is not a business. A university is not set up to make money, right? Money is there. It needs to expend. It needs to put out money. It needs to do money to support the university, but it's not about profit here, right? The profit, if anything, is that professors are able to teach, pass on their knowledge, to research, to develop new knowledge, to pass that on to students. That's the fundamental mission of the university, is to develop knowledge and pass that on and disseminate knowledge. That's the whole point. That's never going to be something that you can calculate in terms of dollars and cents. It just is to some degree incompatible. So, I mean, the world works on money, and to that sense, we kind of have to talk about it in terms of how much of this how much money are we putting out for this, how much money are we taking in. We have to do that just because, but that can't be the whole way of seeing the university. And so hopefully the union will keep on persisting and keep on pushing and keep on maintaining that position of being the voice of saying, okay, this is what you need to take into account, right? And that whole sense of, like they say, budget reflects priorities. And where you put your money determines what you're doing with it. So that at least is the way that I would hope that the union would continue to persist on that, is that they would continue to kind of push back against the administration trying to say, oh, we're putting all this money towards this and towards this and towards this. Well, why aren't you putting this much to the faculty? Why aren't you putting this much to the GTS? Why aren't you putting this much to the core parts of the university, which is the instruction? One of the things that UO's union has done in comparison, and I sat here and thought about kind of my time as a graduate student at UCI, and I can hardly remember the union. I remember there was a union there, but it was so low key. I think one of the advantages that I see out of UO's union is that it has a presence, and it makes its presence known amongst the faculty. And so if there's a piece of advice that I can give coming in, just being this kind of visiting professor to any other unions, is definitely make your presence known amongst the faculty. And the fact that they are extending it to someone like me who's just in a visiting position, who, to make that clear really does make a difference. So definitely the visibility, the communication with faculty, making their presence known amongst the faculty is the biggest piece of advice I would give to any other union that's trying to form for professors and faculty, is definitely make yourself known to the faculty and keep that communication and keep that line of communication open with the faculty, be they tenure track or non-tenure track.